My next guest has had a fascinating career, especially over the last 6 years. In 2009, CBS brought back the Monty Hall game show, Let's Make a Deal, with Wayne Brady as host. Our next guest is a sidekick, and others as well. And over 1,000 episodes, and 6 years later, it is still going strong and stronger than ever. You've also seen our guest regularly on the CW series, Whose Lines It Anyway? And he's done some other things on the screen and off that I think you'll be very excited about. Joining us live from Los Angeles, Jonathan Magnum. Hi, Jonathan.
How are you doing today?
Very, very well, thank you. Can you believe 6 years, 1,000 plus episodes, that you, Wayne, Tiffany, everybody else hanging out well?
I can't believe it. I can't even, like, if you told me to name 6 of my top favorite episodes, I could probably think of like 2, and the rest of them just melt away into memory, and I can't remember any of them.
And I watch Deal regularly. You guys have a lot of fun. It's just amazing that it feels like yesterday that you were at the Tropicana Hotel with Las Vegas. You, Wayne, starting the first episode, and look where it's gone.
I know, the fans have just been incredible, and every year we get more and more people watching, and they really have a good time, so it makes us happy to be able to give people some prizes and make them laugh at the same time.
How'd you get involved with Deal?
I've been a pal of Wayne since we were teenagers. We started doing comedy together in Orlando, Florida, and he's just been very loyal, and anytime he gets a gig, he's like, hey, put my buddy Jonathan in it. So I had no experience announcing anything, ever, actually. But Wayne was like, yeah, my friend would be great. And they said, yeah, your friend is funny. So that was that.
Gary Collins, too, is one of our Blog Talk Radio listeners from Ypsilanti, Michigan. And when he learned that you were going to be on the show today, he gave us an email question. When you were growing up, did you watch the original Let's Make a Deal with Monty Hall?
I did not really, and I'm not sure if it's because I didn't have access to it, or I do remember watching The Price is Right, but as a kid, that's all I remember watching. I'm not sure if it was when I was the right age to be watching that stuff, if it was on.
Mm-hmm. So in terms of Deal, when it started in 2009, how fast did you and everybody gear up to bring Monty Hall's creation back?
It geared up pretty quickly. It did take us a while to kind of figure out exactly what we were doing. We wanted to do something that was, although, similar, of course, to what Monty created, we wanted to make it our own, too. So it took a couple seasons for us to kind of feel like, oh, this is what we're doing, which is actually like a variety show mixed with a game show. But now I feel like we know exactly what we're doing, and it goes smoothly every time.
And that's the big difference between the original that Monty did and what you, Wayne, et cetera, are doing, is that originally it was basically a pure game show. And everybody has really taken it along with, I want to give credit to Mike Richards, who's been on our show several times, Dan Funk, your executive producers, your whole crew at Fremantle, that you've made it, it's a show where you never know what's going to happen. Whether it could be variety. We'll talk about the April Fool's episodes, including the one you did this year shortly. But it's more of a variety show, and it's more of the contestants showcase these talents you never thought they'd have.
Yeah, and as far as I know, I don't believe Monty Hall ever did a rap about a prize. So I'm pretty sure that was a thing we added. But yeah, we love paying respect to the old game show because it's still a great game, and we just updated it in a successful way.
How much of the show is planned in advance? I mean, when you and everybody comes to work and tapes a show, how much do you know you're doing, and then how much of it relies on your improv skills?
The only thing that's planned is the games that will be played, obviously, because they have to have the props ready and stuff like that. But Wayne and I don't actually know those games until a couple minutes before. We'll go over to the side and go, oh, we're going to play this game. So it's pretty much us finding out at the last second. As far as anything else that's written, I have to read the copy for the prizes because that's just what you do. I can't just sit there and decide to describe a car as being red and uses gas and smells nice on the inside. I have to actually list from the manufacturer all the stuff about the prizes. But other than that, everything's made up. Wayne feels like he wants to start singing, he does. If we start rapping, we do. If Wayne and I go and do a bit and do stuff, it's just made up on the spot. Except for that prize description, it's all made up.
People who've seen the original know that Jay Stewart was the original announcer, and he would do what you were doing. He'd bring the box down to the trading floor. He'd open the box up.
Yep.
He would announce the, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I'm curious how did you have a chance to see tapes of him before you got started?
Absolutely, yes. I did, and he was really a funny guy too. He did some things that, you would think that back in the time when the show was on, that they would have been more conservative in what they put on television in the daytime. But there were, bits where he'd dress up like a baby and get in a rocking chair and have a tumbler of vodka he'd pretend to drink. And I thought this was hilarious. So I go, hey, can I have a fake vodka bottle to drink in the zonks? They're like, no, you can't do that on television. I'm like, but they did that back in the 70s. Why can't I do it? It was done in the 70s. But so there's weird things that they won't let you do that actually they could do a long time ago. But then there's other things they let us get away with. So, but yeah, Jay was great.
Jonathan Magnum is our guest this half hour on Tomorrow Will Be Televised. You can see him every morning at 10 a.m. Eastern on Let's Make a Deal on most CBS stations. Others play it in the afternoon or later in the morning. Many stations it is paired with The Price is Right, which follows an hour later. Jonathan joins us live from Los Angeles, where the show is produced, right here on this half hour on Tomorrow Will Be Televised. Simon Applebaum here with you live on the other coast, New York, at the studios of Brooklyn Penn Media near the Barclays Center. You have a question or comment for Jonathan? Ring in at 646-652-2906, or use our chat room, Simon Apple 04 by name. Coming up Friday on the program, the creator of first The Closer and now Major Crimes, going into season 4 next Monday night on TNT. James Duff, exclusive interview right here, Friday, 3 p.m. Eastern, noon Pacific, on Tomorrow Will Be Televised. Did improv comedy come easy for you? I know for some people it's easy, and for some people it is tough to really think on the spot, listen to people, and know when to jump in with a line.
Well, I think that it depends on where in your career you're asking that question. For everybody, doing something new is hard, period. And as long as you know this and you're willing to do something and be bad at it for a long time, then you will be good at it eventually. So, yes, I was bad. It was not easy, but it's not easy for anybody doing anything the first time. I learned pretty quickly, which was great, and I've loved doing it ever since.
Mm-hmm. And how did you and Wayne get together as teenagers?
There was a local theater in Orlando, Florida. I was going to college there, and Wayne was working at Universal Studios and Disney. And there was a theater downtown called SAC Comedy Theater, and they would teach improv classes and do improv shows. And we went down there, and not at the same time, but pretty quickly we were on stage together doing shows. And we did about 13 shows per week. To locals. It was mostly for local Orlando people, not really tourists. So we did that for about 4 years together, and cut our teeth and learned our chops there.
Is there a Chop 101 that everybody who gets into that field has to learn or has to practice?
Yeah, most places in the country, if you take improv, you have to take classes, but I kind of started performing right away just because one of the group just before I met Wayne that I signed up for didn't have a lot of people to do their shows, so I kind of started right away with Comedy Sports in Orlando doing shows, and I was terrible. They'll tell you.
And what turned it around? What got you as
being terrible a lot. Being the best thing you can do in your life is to be terrible at something 1,000 times. Because then you're good at it.
You learn each time. You learn what's missing and bring it to play.
Basically, yeah. It's like riding a bike. You're going to fall down. No kid gets on a bike and rides it ever in the history of humans. You fall down, and that's how you learn. You can't be afraid of that process.
Back to Deal. Every year, like Price is Right, since Mike Richards and gang have been in charge, you do an April Fool's episode, and this one was really crazy for you. You actually did the show backwards, where the quickie deals that usually comes at the end comes first. The opening of the show comes at the end, and in between there was a very interesting stunt where you actually made fun of the show. The items in the box, the items on, the prizes on the floor, the prizes behind the curtain. How'd that happen?
Our producers are so great at coming up with fun and different things, and that's kind of what we want to be as a game show. We want to be the different game show, the game show that doesn't take itself seriously. We're not Jeopardy. We want to be silly and make fun of ourselves and be stupid and have a good time and laugh. So you have to give credit to our producers for coming up with just some of these great ideas that make it a funny show as well as entertaining.
And it was really crazy. That I saw that stunt, and it was really crazy to go for both, for all of you and the contestant. Like, where is this thing going to go? It's going from the box to I got to take the curtain to I got to take the box on the floor to I got to go back to the the box, or I have the envelope. It's like everything went into play. It's like you went every direction to make something go.
We had a good time doing that one. I remember that.
Mm-hmm. And you mentioned the rap tune. It was an improv rap that Wayne did that won the Emmy. That won Deal's only Emmy award so far.
That's right. And it's funny because a lot of times I'll sing the songs too, most of the time. But in this occasion, it was just one of the times where I didn't happen to join in, and so Wayne and Kat Gray, who also won the Emmy for playing the music, kind of make fun of me. So now, whenever they sing a song, at the end of the song, I'll just come in and go, la, 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 just to get a note in so that if it's ever nominated, I sang at least one note so I can get an award, too.
You're getting known also for a particular line we use at the beginning of the show. It's the Let's Make a Deal vault, which is one of the regular Big Deal prizes. Do you get a lot of comment about that, especially on social media?
You're the first person that's commented. You're the first person that's commented on it. I like saying it. And it's slowly evolved over time as to sounding like a scary, like I'm introducing a haunted house or something. It just kind of makes me laugh that it would be spooky somehow. It's just a vault, but just started doing it. That and the other thing I say that has kind of evolved is the Gold Rush game, where I just, Gold Rush! This big, loud Gold Rush. I don't know why. They just kind of started happening, and I figured I'll just keep saying them.
Mm-hmm. Let's talk for a moment about Whose Line Is It Anyway? It's an amazing show with an amazing run. When you do that show with Wayne and Colin Mochrie and Ryan Stiles and so on, what's the vibe with that show? Why do you think people get so into it?
It is just because there's nothing like watching someone on a tightrope. And that's what that show is. It's four people on the edge of their seats. They could fall off at any second. So it's you want to watch it, and then we're all trained, of course, to be funny on that tightrope. And we've all worked with each other so many times. I mean, even before I was on Whose Line, I worked with Colin and Ryan dozens and dozens of times, and with Wayne thousands of times. So it's not unfamiliar in any way. It feels like we're all friends up there, just trying to survive.
And how do they determine, like, in this game, everybody plays, in this game, you and Wayne play, in this game, Colin and Ryan do their thing? I mean, is it, again, sort of like a case of catch as catch can, or do you know beforehand who plays the specific games?
The producer, Dan Patterson, does a really good job of pairing up people so they'll play to their strengths. And we do know the games that will be played. I know I'll be doing a game with Wayne, and it's this game, but we have no idea what it'll be about or the suggestion or what will happen. So also many times, we shoot more games that end up on TV just because there's not enough time to show all the games in a taping. So he'll pick specific games and specific people so that he knows he can mix and match them and pick certain ones that he knows might be more appropriate matched up against a different game.
For you, easiest game to play on that program, toughest game?
The easiest game for me is the physical games. I love the game forward reverse, which is where you just you do a scene forward, and when you hear the reverse, you have to start going backwards as if someone's hitting rewind on your VCR. So I love physical, fun games. The hardest one is, and I've only played it once, I think, is the questions game where you can only talk in questions. Because I'm a know-it-all, at least I think I know it all, and so I'm never really asking questions in real life. I'm just kind of telling people what I think. So trying to ask a question is difficult for me.
One of the fun elements of that show is the songs, especially that wonderful drinking song where everybody goes die 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 die, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. It seems that's yes. Like where the spark comes even more alive.
It's I'm Irish. Have a little Irish in me. Wayne is Black Irish, so he has a little Irish in him. And so when we start singing the Irish drinking song, the spirits of our Irish ancestors come forward, and magic happens.
Mm-hmm. What's it like to work with Wayne, day in and day out, having known each other for so long, and sort of he gets your rhythm, you get his?
It's tough, because, I've obviously taught him everything he knows, and without me, he would be nothing. And so knowing this is difficult for him sometimes. No. Wayne's, it's like a friend. He's a pal that I've known forever, so it's just like a brother. It's such a casual, fun relationship, and, the chemistry you see between us on Let's Make a Deal, I wish I could say it's because I'm such a great actor and I can make it seem like our chemistry is amazing. But we've been friends for so long, so it's all real. All that chemistry of us joking with each other and laughing at each other and giving each other a hard time, that's all completely 100% real.
Mm-hmm. Can't fake it. Yeah, camera does not lie.
I wish I could. I'd have Oscars.
Yeah, me too. Totally where you're coming from, Jonathan. Jonathan Magnum from Let's Make a Deal, Who's Nice Anyway, and other things we'll get into in a moment is joining us live this half hour from Los Angeles on Tomorrow Will Be Televised. Simon Applebaum here with you, June 1st, 2015, from the studios of Brooklyn Pennant Media here in New York. You have a question or comment for Jonathan? Don't be shy. Get that phone going at 646-652-2906, or use our chat room, Simon Apple 04 by name. A very prolific executive producer is going to be joining us. Stephen David on Friday's episode. He's already done Sons of Liberty for History, and tonight he's got a new series premiering on National Geographic Channel. It's called American Genius. And 15 nights from now, he has another series premiering on AMC, The Making of the Mob, New York. Stephen David joins us again right here on Tomorrow Will Be Televised, 3 p.m. Eastern, New Pacific this Friday, here on Blog Talk Radio. And I hope you will join us. Jonathan, do I understand it that you've done a little bit of award show writing?
I have, yeah. I've written for several different ones. The most recent was the BET Honors that Wayne hosted. It was really great. We got to go to Washington, D.C., and we did some really funny stuff, and that was so much fun to do.
It's a very special show, and more and more people are watching it, where the BET honors some very unique African Americans in all sorts of different fields, entertainment, the arts, sciences. It's really become a very prestigious show.
Yeah, it was great to meet so many people that I've wanted to meet before, and we did a really fun bit with Kanye West. That we were a little, we were a little worried because we wanted him to think it was funny, and we didn't know how he'd react to it. So we wrote a joke during a song, during a rap that Wayne was doing, where the punchline was, what was it? Kanye West, you're here today. The writers had a funny joke, but we cut it so you'd stay. And the camera cut to his face right during that line, and it was a second. And then he smiled and laughed, and at the end he stood up and gave Wayne a standing ovation. So that was really, really cool to see Wayne get that from Mr. West.
What other award shows have you written for, Jonathan? And when you get that kind of assignment, how much time do you have to write the material?
Not that long, usually about a week or so to come up with the stuff, but a lot of the stuff, it will just happen while it's happening live. Something will happen on stage, or someone will say something, and then you'll brainstorm during the commercial break and go, hey, Wayne, you should say this because that just happened, stuff like that. I've written for a couple different producer award ceremonies and a couple different ones with Wayne. They're always really fun to do. I'd love to get a crack at the Academy Awards someday. That would be really fun. Some friends of mine got to do that. Dan Harmon, who created Community, and Rob Schraub, who's directing the Lego Movie, they got to write an Oscars a couple years back, and they had a blast doing it.
We got a call, Jonathan. We're going to take it. Hello, you're on Tomorrow Will Be Televised. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Hi, Simon. It's Rick Webb calling from Philadelphia.
Rick, you and Jonathan are connected. Go ahead.
Hey, man.
Hey, Jonathan. I've seen in your bio that in the past you've pitched like some different game shows yourself, like you've actually shot some pilots for
Yes.
You Bet Your Honky. So I guess one question is whether you pitched that when you were at the BET Awards, because maybe that would be a good network for
Sure, for a honky show.
You Bet Your Honky.
Yes.
Yeah. But more seriously, since Let's Make a Deal has so many different game shows within the game show, Does that ever get confusing, and do you think that that's something good for game shows, or like usually they say game shows keep it simple. So there are a lot of simple shows, but I'm just wondering whether that ever gets maybe not confusing, but maybe like too much for the guests, or I don't know. I just wanted your opinion on that.
I understand what you're saying. What I think is great is a variety. You know, I like that there's a serious game show Jeopardy that takes itself seriously, and Alex Trebek pretends like he knows the answers when he probably doesn't. It's very serious. I like that show. I like The Price is Right. That's you know based on a lot of different prices on things, and you know how much rice-a-roni costs. And I like variety. Our show is just kind of like it's a Crayola box of crayons, all different colors, and it's just wacky, and some of them are melted, and some of them are broken off, and someone stuck a ballpoint pen in one hole where it should be magenta. You know, I think there's a place for all different kinds and varieties of game shows. So some game shows, yes, when they're just one thing you do, that's great, and then sometimes you want to just see a bunch of crazy stuff, and that's our show.
Awesome, yeah, I love it, and I love that there's so much variety, and that you guys do improv and sing, and it just seems a lot more freewheeling. I was just wondering what you know the industry. I guess it wouldn't be backlash, but whether there's jealousy or anything like that. You guys get to have so much fun.
You know, I haven't heard of any jealousy, but they better watch out because you know our ratings go up every year. So we're coming for you, other game shows. We're coming for you.
Nice. Well, congrats. And
thanks, man.
For
Appreciate it.
Question.
You got
Simon.
it.
All right, Rick, thanks for being here. Appreciate it.
You too. Thanks.
Rick Webb, our friend from Philadelphia. So before we let you go, Jonathan, when do you boot Drew and George and Rachel and Gwendolyn off Price is Right, and you, Wayne, Tiffany, everybody take over that show for an April Fool's show?
That's a great idea. I would like to do that. You should start sending your emails now to Ask CBS to let us take it over.
All right, next time Mike Richards
That'd
comes
be so
on this
much fun.
next time, Jonathan, Mike Richards comes on this program, we'll put in a word for you. Hey, Craig Ferguson did it, and he did pretty good. So you guys, you had 6 years of experience, you know, and you're working with the same company.
And for people that don't know, Mike Richards is not only our executive producer, but the executive producer of The Price is Right as well. So he could make it happen.
Absolutely. So Mike, get on the ball now. You got time. Jonathan Magnum gets in action with Wayne Brady, Tiffany Coyne, Kat Gray, and those Let's Make a Deal contestants every weekday on CBS. Remember, most CBS stations play Deal at 10 a.m. local time. Check your local news for where CBS runs in your area. And for more details online, head to cbs.com. Don't forget also, The Price is Right follows Deal on most stations, along with a mid-morning local news break. Chris Raggy does it here in New York on WCBS. And if you plan to attend Let's Make a Deal in person down the road, make sure you catch the program's Twitter feed. Could be worth $500 if you know what to bring. And Jonathan, Wayne, or Tiffany make a quickie deal with you. You never know. Jonathan Magnum, thank you so much for a great half hour. Pleasure to have you on. Let's do it again soon.
Anytime. Thanks, man.
And all the best with year 7 as well, coming up this fall.
Thank you so much.
Take care.
All right, bye-bye.
Jonathan Magnum joining us live from Let's Make a Deal and Whose Lines It Anyway. By the way, Whose Lines It Anyway, Friday nights, 8 to 9 p.m. on the CW. CW TV is where you go online.